Cumulative frequency means running total. So it's a running total of our frequency. So the first frequency stays exactly the same, in this case 10, and we just keep adding. So 10 at 15, that gives us 25. 25 at 25 gives us 50. 50 at 30 gives us 80. 80 at 5 gives us 85. And 85 at 15 gives us 100. As a check, our total cumulative frequency should represent the total number of days in this case. When drawing a cumulative frequency graph, we always plot the upper bound of each class interval with their corresponding cumulative frequency. So my first point, I'm going to go along 50 and up 10. So along 50 and up 10. My next point, I'm going to go along 100, up 25. So along 100 and up 25. My next point, I'll go along 150, up 50. So along 150 and up 50. My next point, I'll go along 200, up 80. So along 200, up 80. My next point, I'll go along 250, up 85. So along 250, up 85. And my last point, I'll go along 300, up 100. So along 300, up 100. I now look at the lower bound of my first class interval. As that was 0, therefore now my cumulative frequency graph will start from 0. I know a cumulative frequency graph is a smooth curve. So I just join each of my points together using a smooth curve. Use your graph to find an estimate for the number of days on which the profit was less than £125. Well, my first step is to find £125. That's going to be in between 100 and 150. As we know, cumulative frequency means running total. And I want the number of days less than 125. So I simply find 125. I now draw a line up to my cumulative frequency curve. And then read across to our cumulative frequency, which gives us 36. If you're asked to use your graph to estimate the number of days where the profit was more than £125, we'd still start by doing the same thing. We'd find 125, go up to our cumulative frequency graph and read off our cumulative frequency. But as I know 36 days had less than 125 profit, and if I want more than, I'll do the total number of days, in this case 100, subtract the 36, and 100 take away 36 would give us 64. Use your graph to find an estimate for the interquartile range. We should know the interquartile range, IQR for short, is always going to be my upper quartile, subtract my lower quartile. To find my upper quartile, I know my upper quartile is always 3/4 of the total. And as there's 100 days, therefore it be 3/4 of 100. When calculating a fractional amount, we always divide by the bottom and times by the top. 100 divided by 4 is 25. And 25 times 3 will give us 75. I now find 75 on my cumulative frequency axis. I now draw a line to meet my cumulative frequency graph. And then I always read down, and that gives me 190. Now to find my lower quartile, very similar. I know my lower quartile is 1/4 of the total. So in this case, 1/4 of the number of days, and there's 100 days, so 1/4 of 100. Again, a fraction amount. I always divide by the bottom and times by the top. 100 divided by 4 is 25. And 25 times 1 gives us 25. So locating 25 on my cumulative frequency axis, I then draw a horizontal line to meet my cumulative frequency graph, and then draw a line down, and that worked out to be 100. Hence, my interquartile range is my upper quartile, which came out to be £190. So it's going to be £190. I'm now going to subtract my lower quartile, which came out to be £100. So 190 subtract £100 will give us an interquartile range of £90.